I'm not making noise.
Good. I can meet you too. So awesome. Hey, everybody. I am live. I am super excited. I got a special guest with us tonight or today. It's morning. It's early here on the West Coast. She's on the Eastish coast. I got the amazing Kim on here. We're going to talk about plateaus. One of the things I've probably gotten, 15 messages this week. Dustin, I'm plateaued. What am I doing wrong? What's wrong? And it's just this vicious cycle of I'm plateaued. So I asked Kim hit me yesterday and I'm like, let's just go live and I'll coach you live about how I work through people with plateaus. And so the goal here is not just to help Kim, is to help everybody maybe understand the significance of a plateau. A, they're not that bad. B, you can learn a lot from them. And C, it's probably going to be one of the most pivotal parts of your success if we can look at it the right way. So that's what we're going to do with Kim. We're going to coach her live today about a plateau. So Kim, thanks for coming on. I truly appreciate this.
Thank you.
I'm drinking my keto cream and some coffee this morning. It's 7:47 here. What are you drinking there?
My keto, nat.
What's your favorite flavor?
This is prickly pear. I love it.
Prickly pear. I got that right. I did have it right here. I don't know where it went. It's so fun having all these fun flavors. So, all right, let's get into, we're just going to dive right into the coaching sense here. So you can answer these questions. You don't have to, but you can. First off, how old are you? So people have a reference place of, I told her I wouldn't get too personal. So this is as little personal as I get. So how old are you?
I'm 54. I'll be 55 in October.
Perfect. And then when did you start your journey? When you started your weight loss?
The second week of July.
Last
year.
So about 8 months in. And how much did you lose? How much did you need to lose when you started?
Well, it started off, I just was doing 10 pounds at a time. And then when I saw it coming off, I've decided I'm down 55 now, and I'm wanting to lose another 50 or 60.
All right. And then how long have you been plateaued for?
Oh, on and off since Thanksgiving. I mean, I didn't gain a whole lot through the holidays, but I didn't lose anything.
Perfect. Okay. Now, let me ask you this question. Were you able to enjoy the holidays without being rigid and strict and so like psychologically restricted? Or did you feel like you were restricting yourself the whole time?
I didn't eat any sweets. So, but that to me is not restricting because I'm not a sweet eater. So I ate stuffing, my favorites. I did eat it, but I will tell you, because I'm not used to eating all that, I didn't feel very well after. I had to take a nap, and I never take a nap. So it was worth it to me just to go slow instead of overeat and gorge myself.
Well, that's important because most people, they feel like they're failing when they're having their favorite things on the holidays. If it's a stuffing, if it's sweet. The reality is like your body doesn't know that big of a difference between a candy bar and between stuffing or maybe potatoes, because biochemistry, it kind of does a similar thing. Some different variations of it, but so what I care more about is the pleasure sensors of like, hey, I didn't feel deprived, because that's the psychological side that will really mess people up. And so what happens when we plateau? So how long have you been plateaued? You said right around Thanksgiving. So we've been about 2 months plateaued.
Right after Thanksgiving, the scales, you tell me to stay away from the scales, said I gained 12 pounds.
Okay.
And I know I didn't, because I didn't eat bad enough to gain that kind of weight. Right. But still, psychologically, it works on you. And I've been working to get that down, and then I'm down 5 more since then. But it's still, as much as I weigh, I feel like it should come off faster.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, cool. So first off, the 12 pounds, let's talk about that for a second. What happens, Kim, with that is, so when you go low carb or keto, or when you're even drinking ketones, you have a propensity of, basically we store glucose, gets stored in your muscle and in your liver. Okay. So when you go low carb, that storage goes down. It's like you're emptying the storage tank, right? Well, that has weight to it. So that's why when people go, it's water weight. Well, what it is it is water weight, because that's part of the weight that goes up. But also this glucose stores into your body for future use, like for future use. So this is going to be different for every size person. The bigger you are, the more storage tanks you typically have. So the more the scale can fluctuate. The smaller you are, the less it might fluctuate. So if you were starting your journey at, 3 years ago and at 300 pounds and you would have Thanksgiving, you might have gained 20 pounds for the same amount of food, right? So that's what sometimes people get confused by. That's why the scale can be such a deterrent, because you didn't change much in 10 days or 5 days. Your body isn't even capable of gaining 12 pounds of fat that fast, right? It's not,
Right.
that's not
Right.
physiologically capable. But the scale sometimes confuses people on this. So this is really huge. That's why I tell people try to avoid it, because it's psychological. What happens when you mentally get now frustrated or like concerned, you're on an airplane and you're like, I'm desperate. Do you have kids by chance? I don't remember.
I have 2 girls.
2 girls. Where do they live?
Here, well, one in Clarksburg and one here with me.
Well,
She's in college.
one just
She's
moved to LA, right? She's in LA, and something unbelievably amazing happened, and you need to get there now. You need to get there right away. You're on your airplane, and for whatever reason, you have a seed of doubt and a question mark, and you're like, I don't know if I should go. Maybe this is the wrong time to go visit her, and you decide that you're going to go down to Dallas, Texas instead. That's what most people do. Is that going to get you anywhere? No, you should just finish your trip, get there and figure it all out, right? So what happens is when you're in that frustrated spot, it creates this huge stress response and a cortisol release happens, which actually does increase your body's ability to gain weight, and especially belly fat, right? And it slows down the system, because now your body's in attack mode. It's like the lion is attacking you. So it's not thinking about body fat loss, it's thinking about attacking you. So I like to just give this kind of overview understanding so I can give you the right coaching. But a plateau, first off, is absolutely important. First thing that you're going to do is it's teaching you something. Okay. And the good news is you didn't just like your body responded to your enjoyment of the holidays, and then it's responding still the right direction, not in the speed that you want it to go. Right. That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
So part of this is your learning lesson as a plateau. This is you to build your ability to learn now. That I use this as an example. Okay. A true plateau, just so you know, Kim, this is good. This is really good. A true plateau could be 3 to 6 months of not much change. Okay. 3 to 6 months. Okay. Now, but what happens? Why? And you see how you kind of got a level of disappointment.
Oh, like, Lord.
You can't imagine.
Well, I've already been too.
Right. But not quite though, because
I know.
your body, you'd made a shift, your body responded, and it's now shifting back. So it's not like a true plateau means that nothing, it's like you tried everything and it's just not changing, right? Well, think about this. If you're climbing up a mountain and that's what you're doing, right? You're losing 100 plus pounds. That's kind of a mountain to climb. That's a lot. I mean, 100 pounds is 355,000 calories you don't need to eat. Your body's eating off of yourself. That's a big climb, right? So when you hit a plateau, basically what it does is it's reestablishing a new normal. Your body's normal was what it used to be. How long were you 100 pounds overweight?
All my life. Okay, so after my first child, I gained a lot of weight.
So 20, and your kids are.
Well, my oldest is 31.
31. So think about it, 30 years, right? 30 years, your body has been, that's the new normal. Normal is what your body becomes used to. So we have to reteach it to a new normal. And doing that in 6, 8, 9 months it's kind of shocking. You know that if you are a smoker and you're working with me, I don't let you quit smoking for at least 6 months.
Really?
Because the stress of quitting smoking is actually really hard on the human body. Now, there's about 35 other things that we can change first. And then eventually smoking is just not that much of a priority. Maybe they don't quit. Maybe they quit. Maybe they go down to 1 or 2 cigarettes a day. Better than a pack, right? Better than 2 packs. So you have to keep in mind is your body has to create a new normal. And so a plateau is basically creating a new normal. I would prefer people to go and say, hey, listen, I'm going to lose 30 pounds and I'm going to maintain it for a month. And then I'm going to go lose 20 pounds and maintain it for a month. You kind of already have that mindset going in, and then the holidays come up and confuse it a little bit. Because I would rather you maintain through the holidays and then start again, and then maintain to the summer. The summer is another time that people really struggle because there's parties and there's always something going on. So those should be more maintenance focused, and then celebrate the maintenance. So when I'm talking about plateaus, it's mostly a psychology thing. It's not a There's a physiological thing, and I'm going to give you some tips of how to do that. So stay tuned. But I want to make sure we set the precedence because too many people quit the journey that's perfect for them because of a plateau. They think it's a bad thing or they're doing something wrong, rather than it's a good thing, and it's what actually is starting to. You get good at this plateau right here, you'll never go past it. How many people do you know? Do you know that 90% of people within 3 years gain all their weight back and more when they go on a weight loss journey?
Yeah, and I don't want to do that.
No. But the reason why they do that is A, they're using the wrong tools to help them lose weight. They're slowing down their metabolism, or they're trying to rush to the end too quickly. You can't rush to the end too quickly because what happens, your body hasn't actually made the adjustments and changes yet. So we want it to be more of a process to get there, right? How many women do you know that get really skinny for their weddings and then they gain it all back super quick? And they did it like super intent.
Yeah.
That's we don't want that to be the case. And that's why it's so psychological. And that's why I wanted to start with the psychology side of it, because I'm going to give you some tips of how to actually start to move the plateau and bust it and move in the right direction. But it's really important for us to understand that it is normal. It's actually a good thing. And there's something for you to learn from the plateau, meaning that I'm going to give you one learning lesson. When you had the carbohydrates, did you overeat or did you just eat carbohydrates or have the stuff?
It was carbs.
But did you like stuff yourself, or was it like kind of a moderate amount?
Yeah, well, I just munched on it all day long, if that makes sense. I go by and I ate in the morning while we were watching the parade. I ate a ton of pretzels, and that made me sick to start off. And then I started cooking, and then because when I cook now, I don't more well, when I'm cooking now, it's good for me, so I don't mind munching that, right? But with the stuffing and potatoes and whatnot, I was just, putting them in my mouth and didn't think twice, and then next thing you know, I needed a nap.
Yeah. And so the reason why I say that is a couple of factors that why you needed the nap. That tells me most likely, there's another factor, but most likely metabolically, your body didn't tolerate those very well. So you had a chemical reaction in your system, and your body. So that tells us that you're still not utilizing carbohydrates efficiently. Carbohydrates are not a bad thing. We need them in our body, right? And if you give a kid carbohydrates, they get all energized. You give a older person that's metabolically inefficient carbohydrates, they get tired. So these are things that are important because it tells me that at this stage in your journey, carbohydrates still are not going to be overconsumed or going to backfire for you, right? That's all it tells us. Not a big deal, but it just tells us that one thing. So that means you need to stay low carb longer and that you have less wiggle room, metabolic flexibility to kind of explore and have fun. That's all that means. So that helps your psychological go, okay, wait a minute. That means carbohydrates still aren't working. Because in the future, when you get your 100 pounds down and you're starting to be more active and do more things, you're going to be able to get away with some and not feel crappy. You're actually going to maybe feel good. Go, I feel like I want to go walk more. That's what we want you to experience. Okay. So when it comes to plateaus, here's a few factors that come in place. Number one is that you're not the same body that you were in July. You're literally 50 plus pounds less than you were in July. Your body is different. You're different. So if you're doing the same thing you did in July now, then it's not going to work because you're not the same person. So some little things are going to have to adjust. What might those be? It might be we need to go and do some intermittent fasting. I know I mentioned, did you do the I fast with us? And did that help you a little bit?
I lost about 7.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we changed it up. The I fast is something you've never done before. So we kind of get really specific. So number one is we got to change something from the time before. What's up, Jen? Which you're doing because we're doing some I fasting. What I would recommend is do the I fast 2 to 3 times a week until you start creating momentum. But it's really important. I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't want you to be in the competitive not eating game. So at the same time, when you're in a journey of losing 100 pounds, why people can plateau? Let me ask this question. Have you been on diets in the past at all?
Oh, yeah. Roller coaster. Yeah.
Just name a few if you don't mind.
I had gastric bypass in 2001.
Okay.
Gained, well, I was 420 pounds at that point in time. Lost, but I didn't keep it off. They don't teach you that snacking, because that's all you can pretty much do, and crackers and pretzels and all. They didn't, I mean, I'm an educated woman. I know that they can cause you to gain weight, but then that's all you wanted because that's all you could eat, you
Right.
know? So,
Well, and people don't realize the psychology of food. I mean, it's there's a huge addiction component to it, and it's.
mhm,
I used to be I was the bad guy who would say, "Let's suck it up, do it the right way." And now I realize after family and everything else going on, I'm like,
right.
wait a minute, there's a lot more going on here. So one of the things, if you're a person that has gone through diets before, in gastric bypass, you slow down your metabolism.
Yeah.
So you because nutrients are harder to come by. Are you getting enough protein in? So as so if you're somebody that's on this journey and you're plateaued, ask yourself, are you competitively not eating? What I mean by that is that you're constantly trying to lose. The psychology of that alone is wrong, right? You're always trying to lose. So I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to send you over I'm going to send you over a text, and I want you to go do a performance challenge. So for the next 3 months, we're going to focus not on how much the scale has moved, how much you can perform better. Can I get you to walk a mile faster? Can I get you to hold a plank a little longer? These are the things that you're going to need to maintain the 100 pounds because that's you getting healthier, right?
Mhm.
And so rather than just lose, what did you gain in that? More
Right.
money to spend on clothes is what you gained.
Right.
Which is fine. And I love that. If you're going to spend money, that's the way to spend it. But at the same time, we got to change the philosophy. So we want to increase your physical activity, but at the same time, we increase your physical activity. And I don't mean go to the gym and get a gym membership. What I mean is we got to do things at home that you can do 2-3 times a week that we can measure and see improvement in 30 days. Because if you don't improve on a mile walk on 30 days, then we're doing something real wrong and you're setting yourself up for a long-term failure. So having more metrics to assess your success. So I want to use the scale as one, but walking, planks, we can clothe, all these other things should be another metric. So you could say everything got better except the scale. Okay, so what do I need to adjust? Or everything got better except my walking. What do I need to adjust? So then it tells you that how you create a new standard for your life. Okay. So number one is well, like I said, psychology of plateauing is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Number two is change up what you're currently doing. So you are doing that right now. So we're going to be intermittent fasting. Okay. We're going to do 2 to 3 times a week, just like you just did, until you get the momentum going. And then you may be doing a maintenance of once or twice a week. Okay. A maintenance of once or twice a week. But it's really important. And then we're going to add a performance evaluation. So you're going to do a performance test. So at least 3, preferably 5 different things. I'll send you it over so that you have different things to measure. Because maybe your shoulders hurt and you can't do push-ups. Well, then we're going to do a plank, or we're going to do lunges, or we're going to do a walk. So I need different things to measure. I want to see it get better in 30 days. And you could set a goal. Hey, I want to hold a plank for 2 minutes. And right now you're at 9 seconds. Well, then good. You have to work towards it. But that's going to physically make your body move better. Because when it comes to burning body fat and moving fat out of your body, you want to breathe more, you want to pee more, and you want to sweat more. So most people that are 100 plus pounds over, they either don't do any physical exercise or they over exercise. They don't just start implementing it consistently, because that's the real key. Okay, so we're going to put that in place. But here's the last little tip I'm going to give you is we need to make sure at least once or twice a week you have refeed days. That's why I like the fasting technique. So when you do your 5-day fast, we want to have at least twice a week where you refeed, meaning that you're actually eating. You can still intermittent fast, but you have to intentionally eat at least the amount of calories. Let's say 1,500 calories. So twice a week, I want you eating at least 1,500 calories, because the majority of the time you're trying to go down towards 1,200 or 1,000 or 800 calories. That's always in loss. We want to at least tell your body that, hey, this is my normal. I'm trying to bring my body weight down, but we don't want your normal to slow down. That's your metabolic rate. We don't want it to slow down. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
When you went in gastric bypass, you were eating small meals all day. Ironically, you probably weren't overeating that much, because you actually physiologically can't. That's why you lose weight initially. But what happened was your metabolism slowed down with it. So eventually the little food you were eating was too much, and it started gaining back up.
Mhm.
And then the psychological warfare comes with that.
Yep.
So we don't want to create that same environment here, but by competitively always trying to lose. So twice a week, I want you to eat more food. Now, preferably, because you don't tolerate carbs very well, I still want them to be low carb.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. So on the weekends, let's say 5 days a week, you stay intermittent fasting, you go a little bit caloric deficit. Saturday, Sunday, you eat more high quality foods, low carb foods, but you allow yourself freedom. Like, hey, I'm hungry. I want to eat more. Give yourself permission to do that because that's going to help, and prioritize protein as your number one source. And if you do these three things or four things, it'll completely change everything in your life. Most importantly, the psychology of it all.
Good.
Any questions about that?
Yeah, no, not really. I do at work. I make it a point to do the stairs. I mean, I know that's not a lot, and I walk sometimes at work, but I can't briskly walk because you can't get all sweaty at work. But yeah, I'll definitely start doing stuff here. I've got a whole gym downstairs. I mean, I have no excuse for that. It's just finding that half hour a day or 45 minutes a
Well,
day.
let me ask this question. This is the psychology again. Could you get yourself excited? You're kind of competitive. I can tell. You have a competitive streak in you, right?
A little bit.
Get yourself excited about, okay, go for a mile walk. That's why I like to do an assessment. Go for the mile walk and then go, okay, I'm going to set a goal. Like, let's say you walk a mile in 20 minutes. Okay. Well, then set a goal and say, okay, I'm going to do it 19 minutes by the end of the month. So you find time by having something that makes you feel rewarded, right? Accomplished. And then give yourself a treat for that, whatever it is. Does that make sense? Like celebrate it, like whatever that may look like for you, right? Celebrate it. Because those little steps is create a new standard. Think about this. If you can walk a mile in 20 minutes right now, but by this time next year, you're walking a mile in 16 minutes. And whenever you go for a while, you walk a mile in 60 minutes. Are you more likely to maintain your success if you can walk a mile in 60 minutes versus 20 minutes?
16.
Yeah. So it's setting a new standard, but it's getting excited. It's like when you go to lose the weight, you get excited thinking about being 50 pounds down, right? Well, now that you're 50 pounds down, you're not nearly that excited, right? You just want 50 more.
Yeah.
That's the trick. And that's when people say, I don't have time for it. And then somebody goes, well, it's just not a priority to you. And then you get pissed at them because you're like, well, it isn't important to me. But what they mean by that is that you are not excited about the reward of it. It's all it is. It's a very primitive thing. Right? Everything we do is primitive. And so you have to trick yourself into getting excited about having this success of the walk, of the plank. Like, be competitive. Maybe grab a friend or two and say, listen, who can get to 3-minute planks faster wins, a free massage from the other person. If you're competitive, use that as your thing, because now you're more likely to walk by the gym and go, I'm not going to let her beat me. Yeah. Magically, you find 30 minutes. If that makes sense. It just appears in your life. This happens when you had kids. Before you had kids, you didn't have time for kids. You had kids, and then you magically have time for kids. And then you're like, when you have one kid, you don't have time for 2 kids because you're like, how can people have more than one kid? And then you have 2 kids, and you figured it out. But you didn't get more time in your day, right? But magically, everything still got done. And then you get to 4 kids, and by then you're just like, who gives a shit?
have a 5th.
Should we have 5?
I said yes.
But I hope that makes sense. So we have to trick our brain into that, and the time will show itself. I don't want to get too much into that, but at the end of the day, a plateau is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. You have a lot of things that you can learn. And what I learned from you today is that you're not in a bad plateau, which is good. Really celebrate what you've accomplished so far. Okay. Know that you want to create a new normal. With the fact that you have carbohydrates and it still makes you tired tells us that your body health has not changed. And you're at 54 years old, your body's going through hormonal still changes and shifts. It doesn't care about losing weight. It cares about you staying alive, right? Mm-hmm. So it has other things that are more important to it for you. And so be careful when we start to overanalyze where we're at. And at the same time, I don't want somebody to stay into a plateau forever and not make the right changes. So the little changes that we're going to make are basically simple. Just the fasting strategy that what's in place. Now, like I said, in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, we'll probably have to adjust it a little bit. It won't. You're creating your lifestyle. We're going to add in a physical performance, and at least twice a week, I want you to add more calories, not more food, but more calories, so your body doesn't always think it's losing. And then when you eat those calories, I want you to see, do you walk faster? Do you feel stronger? Do you feel more like energized? Because that'll tell us a lot of good things. And then you're realizing, yeah, I got to feel my body, not just try to lose weight. Okay.
And that's my problem. I've not been eating enough.
Well, your life has told you not to. For 30 years, basically, you've been told to eat less, eat less, eat less, eat less. You're competitively trying not to eat. And humans are few. We lived our existence was to go out and hunt to find food to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about once again, we're trying to fight like primitive nature, and you're going to lose if that makes sense. We're going to lose if we're fighting our natural capabilities. So I want you to fuel. Now you have fat, so you have storage that you can tap into, but you can't just only tap into that and live that way. You're going to want to fuel your body at the same time, right? So that's where once or twice a week is just a great reminder to fuel your body. And remember, it's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's not you overate, you fueled it. Because it's like people magically make up how many calories per day. What about how many calories per month? Or about how many calories per week? Right? If we just change the way we looked at it and say, okay, well, listen, 5 days a week I eat less calories. 2 days a week I eat the calories that maintain my weight. Collectively, you've lost weight. You're able to tap into your fat stores, but it also protects you from losing that muscle mass, which is really important. Okay.
Okay.
And watch what's going to happen to your clothes in the next 2 months. Your clothes are going to change so much. Like you're going to physically feel like no matter what the scale says, you're going to physically start to look differently because
And that's it. I need to measure myself again because I haven't done it since before the fast.
Mhm.
And even though the scales aren't showing it, my
Well,
clothes are falling off. They're
yes,
falling off.
and the scale did show it, just not as much as you'd like it to say.
Right, right.
And remember, they recommend only 2.2 pounds a week,
I know. I
right?
know.
And we're
I
like,
just
I want
get
30 pounds a day.
yeah.
So that's why this is the most important thing. So you're doing great. You're on the right path. Just keep pursuing and start changing that narrative in your mind a little bit. Find more things to be grateful for and start really being proud of what you've accomplished so far and know that your journey is continuously. I promise you, we'll have this conversation again in 6 months or a year.
Hmm.
It'll be different framework. Conceptually, it'll be the same information because you're just in a different place. You're of a different body and different person then. So I appreciate you, Kim, so much. Text me over so I get you that flyer. I have to get on
Okay.
a call in a second, so I'll
Okay.
have to see it after that one. But I want you to do that performance test. It'll be the
Okay.
secret to your success. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye. Hey everyone, that was Kim. I appreciate her doing that. That was super awesome. Hopefully that was valuable to you all. I would like to do more coaching lives. It's one of my favorite things to do is coach. And sometimes it just gives people different perspectives of where they're at. I actually never done this on live before, so that was my first time doing it live in front of people. And I told her I wouldn't ask her anything too personal, but this is it. We have, like, people say this all the time, like everybody needs to find their own journey. Yes, you do. But there is certain principles and processes that are the right way. And there's ones that are the wrong way. And this is the right way. So I'm just going to encourage you to stay on your journey, stay committed, and find the right community, right coaches, right products to work with that are going to change your life forever, that are actually good for you. There's people out there doing these crazy shots now and these teas and this stuff. And it is shit. It is scary. And it really is not the long-term answer. If you're a short-term, you need to fix something because it's really bad, then you work with your doctor, great. Long-term, it's not the recipe. What we just did is the long-term recipe. So appreciate y'all. Thanks.